Hello again, traveler. It is good to see you well. The roads can be dangerous. Our heroes are with the survivors of the Lowtower festival attack in the remains of an old stone farmhouse. The roof is long collapsed and the grass and moss have overtaken much of the walls, but it is the best option available to them for the night. They have been unsuccessful at crossing back over the Dragon's Road River before nightfall, and so must make camp here. They do not know whether the undead minions from the Grey Crystal will find them in the night, but they must defend the injured here until morning. Samira scouts the edge of the old building, moving stones to improve the meager defenses and setting lookouts to watch for approaching dangers. Yazba and Pumpkin gather what food they can from their surroundings and distribute it among the townsfolk. Though the people seem to be more receptive to Pumpkin's handful of berries than Yazba's rodent on a stick. Maudril spends her time tending to the wounded and assessing how quickly the group could move in the morning. About half of the survivors can move on their own, with the rest having wounds severe enough to hamper their mobility.
We cannot risk moving these people until morning. Even then, it will be a difficult journey.
A small fire is started in an old hearth to keep the worst of the injured warm and comfortable. They dare not make too much light or smoke that enemies could spot from a distance. They must make do in darkness, making as little noise as possible and hoping to survive the night. Night falls and our heroes take shifts keeping lookout. No one here seems to be able to sleep comfortably, and not just because of the dirt floors. There are long periods of tense silence. The crickets in the area seem to have lost their song. Past midnight, there are noises heard out in the fields of darkness beyond the walls of the old farmhouse. Yazba jumps down from his perch and sneaks forward through the tall grass to find the source of the noise. He gets about 80 feet from the wall, but sees nothing. Intermittently around him, he can hear something moving. Whatever it is, they have him surrounded. The noises are now between him and the farmhouse. He considers calling out, but that would alert everyone to his location, and even possibly endanger his friends and the remaining survivors. As he pivots on his heel, he finds himself staring up at a drawn bow into a face painted with a skull visage. A hand claps over his mouth before he can shriek. Back within the farmhouse walls, figures are seen approaching through the long grass, descending onto the crumbling building and those within. Samira has readied her weapon, with Pumpkin being between the survivors and the outer wall,
Bring it on, boneheads!
and Maudril holding a spell ready to sling at the first enemy to walk into the firelight. As Samira watches the figures creep ever closer, a soft voice speaks from next to her.
We are not enemies.
She turns quickly towards the voice to see an elf with painted armor and face, hands open and empty in a showing of peace. Samira quickly calls out for all to stand down.
It's friends. Elves from the Ghostwood.
The scouts from Lowtower had gone there requesting help, and so, from the camp at Toadstool's Circle, a small party of warriors had been assembled to patrol this side of the river and warn any settlements if undead were seen moving towards them in the night. Yazba is brought back inside, unbound but regarded with suspicion by these elves, who do not seem fond of goblins.
Rude elves. Sneak up on Yazba. Rude.
As the two groups exchange information and keep watch against potential enemies, Pumpkin spies a light up the river. It is a boat with knights from Faybridge. They have been keeping their own patrol by boat. The Ghostwood elves had sent word ahead of the survivors here, and the boat was coming for them. The lantern flashes in greeting as the crew pulls quietly as they can along the shore near the farmhouse. The captain of the Ghostwood patrol sets a handful of his men to guard the area, as the rest move on with their patrol. The boats from Faybridge are wide and shallow. The knights help our heroes load in the survivors, and they push off slowly towards Lowtower, still on guard for any sudden onset of the undead. The boat manages to dock in Lowtower before dawn, and the survivors are moved and cared for. There are some tearful reunions as families, hearing of the survivors, rush out to find those they had feared dead had returned. There are even more bleak faces from those who realize that their loved ones were not among the survivors. The knights set off once more in their boat, and the party is given space in a larger private quarters at the local inn for what remains of the night. They take what rest they can get, recounting the events of the day and discussing what they should do next. They rest until almost midday, a very earned respite after 2 harrowing nights. Well, traveler, the fire burns low, and we are out of wine. so we will continue this story another time. Our heroes hope to save many people, but are still no closer to unraveling the mystery of the Grey Tower. Where would you go for answers? Who would you seek out? Let me know in the comments, and next time we will see what they find on the path ahead.